The snow had been falling steadily for days in Redstone Valley, coating the tracks, the rooftops, and the few hardy evergreens that survived the harsh frontier winds. And as Jeremiah Cole sat alone on the worn wooden bench of the abandoned station, he wrapped his coat tighter and stared down the frozen tracks, wondering if this Christmas would pass just like all the others, quiet, cold, and painfully lonely. For years he had expected family, visitors, even just a friendly face from the neighboring town to come and break the silence. But with everyone gone, friends scattered, relatives lost to distance or death, he had learned to keep his hope tightly folded, hidden beneath layers of pragmatism and sorrow. The wind whistled through the cracks in the station walls, carrying with it the smell of burning coal from distant homes, the faint laughter of children playing in the snow, and Jeremiah's own heart ached for connection he could no longer assume would arrive. He fingered the leather strap of a small satchel containing gifts he had bought on credit at the general store, trinkets for a child who wasn't his, a treat for a neighbor who hadn't come, reminders that he cared even when no one noticed, and sighed, watching the tracks vanish into the white horizon. Hours passed slowly, shadows shifting as the late afternoon sun struggled to pierce the heavy clouds, and just as Jeremiah began to wonder if he would spend the evening entirely alone, a distant sound cut through the silence, a metallic clatter, rhythmic and growing louder. He squinted against the snow and saw it, the train, black smoke billowing, its whistle echoing through the valley like a long, lost call, and from it emerged a figure, a stranger wrapped in a thick wool coat, boots clumping through the snow, face obscured by a scarf. Jeremiah's breath caught as the stranger approached, hands raised slightly in greeting, eyes meeting his with warmth he hadn't expected. The stranger carried no luggage, no fanfare, only a quiet dignity and a sense of purpose that made Jeremiah's chest tighten with curiosity and hope. As they drew closer, snow melting into slush beneath their boots, the stranger spoke in a voice both calm and kind, asking if this was indeed the Cole family home, and Jeremiah realized in that moment that this Christmas might not be as lonely as he had feared. And if this story of unexpected connection already has your heart stirring, don't forget to subscribe, because the real magic is only just beginning. The stranger, who introduced herself as Evelyn Hart, explained that she had been traveling for days, responding to a letter she had received months ago, a request for assistance she didn't fully understand until she reached the valley and saw Jeremiah waiting alone on the snowy platform. She carried gifts not for herself but for the community, small offerings of hope, a bundle of fresh, baked bread wrapped in linen, hand-stitched scarves for children, and a small box of colorful wooden toys that jingled when shaken, meant to brighten the spirits of anyone who had felt forgotten this winter. Jeremiah invited her into his modest cabin, the fire crackling and casting dancing shadows on the log walls, and as they shared bread and coffee, he found himself opening in ways he hadn't in years, telling her stories of winters past, the family he had lost, the neighbors who had moved on, and the small joys that made life worth enduring even in isolation. Evelyn listened intently, offering laughter where appropriate, gentle encouragement when sorrow crept in, and quiet understanding that made Jeremiah feel less like a man abandoned by the world and more like someone who still had a place in it. By the time night fell and the first stars appeared in the cold sky above Redstone Valley, neighbors who had caught sight of the light in Jeremiah's cabin began to arrive, drawn by curiosity and faint promise of warmth, and soon the small room was filled with laughter, conversation, and the scent of pine from the modest decorations Evelyn had brought. It was the first Christmas in years when Jeremiah did not feel invisible, the first night he understood that even in the harshest, coldest places, kindness can arrive unexpectedly, carried on boots of a stranger who chooses to step forward when hope seems impossible. As the firelight flickered and children played with the wooden toys, Jeremiah looked at Evelyn and realized that this Christmas the true gift had arrived. Not in packages, but in presence, in connection, and in the simple act of someone noticing that he was waiting. If this heartwarming story of loneliness transformed into community touched you, make sure to subscribe to the channel, because many more unforgettable Wild West tales of hope and humanity are just around the corner.